Hello and welcome back to the Hype Bulletin, hosted by yours truly, Ralph Mentor. And yes, the Boston Celtics have finally done it. Well, can't say finally done it because they've done this the second time in 3 years. But for the second time in 3 years, the Boston Celtics, at least this iteration, the 2023-2024 Boston Celtics, are in the NBA Finals and all. Yours truly will be in attendance for Game 2 if everything shakes out the way it's supposed to, at least and all. But I can't tell you that I'm excited, how excited I am, how they got the job done, even with the calmness that they handled it too as well in the sweep and all too. But even for this podcast, to start this podcast up and to have like this intuition to think that the Boston Celtics can get back and win the championship, the fact that they've hit these markers and now they're in the finals at least and all, I think it's a great thing to see. And now they're like 4 wins away of holding that illustrious NBA trophy. Won't even say that person's name yet because it's not in tow yet, but it is just a great sign for the podcast, for me to start the podcast, have this intuition and all, and to see this team battle through. I get that the path to the finals could have been is easier than expected, which is a fair point, but I denounced that point with the missing of Kristaps Porzingis. And even though Drew Holiday has shown how clutch he is, there is another proponent of their offensive scheme of why KP was here, and to still see Tatum and Brown do their thing, to see Derek White get more of his minutes and to take advantage of it too as well, and for Al Horford, when I can argue that his age was the reason why his play was inconsistent, if not non-existent, towards the tail end of the playoffs, and the fact that you're playing him 30 plus minutes, even 35 minutes, close to 40 minutes in certain situations. He's able to give you games like he gave you, I think, in Game 3 with 7 3-pointers and all too as well. So if not hit that game, it was Game 4, but Al was huge. Yeah, it was Game 3, yeah, with that sick pass by Jason Tatum and all. So I commend them, honestly, even though they had the easier path, that they were able to win these games without Kristaps Porzingis. They didn't show all these old habits that some people out there in the national media and on the internet too as well, with my Twitter feed at least and all, that they want to point out these old habits and all, and the fact that you basically still had the same team minus Marcus Smart and add Drew Holiday, which is a big element. I won't lessen the fact that they had him compared to Marcus Smart on the team and all. And I'm not even trying to denounce Marcus Smart, but we all know, I mean, for basketball fans at least, and all, if you want me to introduce why that Marcus Smart, that Drew Holiday is just a better player than Marcus Smart. It's just the decision making and the consistency and all. Like, I remember a game again last year in these 2 conference finals where Marcus Smart had 10 assists in the first half, but ended the game with 10 assists. I'm seeing someone in Drew Holiday who had 7 assists in the first half in one of the games in Indiana, if not it was in Boston. But then the second half, didn't sit there and have 7 assists. I wouldn't expect that. I would expect the other team to adjust when you see someone have 7 assists in the first half. But at least he gave you 3 assists and still gave you the same game still. That may have been that 28-point game he had in Game 2 and all. But didn't go missing. Still able to give you consistency and all. I would say that their defense is matched at least and all. Even though Drew Holiday had a big play there in Game 3, and I'll divulge into those two games after Game 2 and how they got into the NBA Finals and all. But just want to comment that I feel like the Celtics team deserves more credit for what they did in this year's playoffs. They showed dominance even with the easy path. You could argue these teams were playing tough. You can sit there and argue with the Indiana Pacers that they could have been up 3-1, even though that point does annoy me. It is a fair point when you're up 3 in Game 1, when you've led for most of the game in Game 3, and you didn't lead most of the game in Game 4, but you were in the game the whole time, and you were able to extend the 9-point lead in the fourth quarter of Game 4 and all. So it is fair to argue that the Indiana Pacers could have been up 3-1 going into Game 5 last night and all too, but I just think that's where the C's deserve their credit. You saw Miami Heat hit 23 3-pointers in the playoff game, a franchise record for that team and all, and you didn't see the Celtics give up anything close to that, not even like an 18-made 3-point game for the Miami Heat. It was nothing close to that variation. That was just one game, and you can argue the Cleveland Cavaliers, the uptick of Evan Mobley throughout that throughout that series, where you can argue his big play and the shot making of others in Cleveland won them game 2, and he continued playing like that, and the C's were able to win those games, especially on the road. And then you look at Indiana. I get no Tyrese Halliburton and in the previous series without Donovan Mitchell, but still, Nembhard is still dropping 30 points. You still had somebody from the Indiana Pacers step up in the variation, and T.J. McConnell was averaging over 15 points, which I didn't expect going into the series. I thought he would be a pest, but I didn't think the scoring to continue, and it clearly continued in all 2 as well, and it amounted to them having a big lead in Game 3, honestly, and he was a big reason why, honestly. I'm not sure of his stats. I can bring him up for Game 3. Let me bring him up real quick. Since T.J. McConnell was such a menace, I will give him that type of that cause for pause right now. See his stats for Game 3. Yeah, for Game 3, 23 points in 29 minutes, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. He was 10 for 17 and all. And I believe he had a 3 because in Game 4 he had a big 3 in the corner too as well to extend again to hold or extend the Indiana Pacers lead in Game 4 of the fourth quarter to 9 points or 8 points and all. So he was a menace and all. So the fact that they were able to quell all that and still sweep the Indiana Pacers the way they did, go on the road with the best offense. I get Halliburton's out, but you still have players out there still making plays, honestly. Pascal Siakam was a menace too as well in both of those games out in Indiana too as well, and they were still able to win those games. So definitely commend the Boston Celtics for how they played. Very appreciative they were able to get a sweep in one of these series at least and all. So I ended up being right for one of them at least and all. But I'm just happy they got a sweep to prove that they've been dominant. And I feel like to have a sweep against the best team you faced in this path to the NBA Finals, I think just again deserves more of their credit and all. So let's break these games down real quick. For Game 3, after an okay start in Game 3, Devonta C's defense finally decided to show up in the third quarter, because in the whole game the team was able to have 12 blocks, but 9 of those blocks were in the third quarter. We finally got to see some O'Shea and Tillman minutes. I really like the O'Shea minutes in this game. He didn't get much minutes in Game 4, and we'll get into that. But in this game, I feel like his minutes were huge. They were able to switch. I think the biggest thing of O'Shea and Tillman playing were just that you gave Al Horford a rest. He played 25 minutes that game, and I think that's the game. I believe that's the game he gave you 7 3-pointers and all too as well. Let me just because Al Horford had a huge game. I think that was his huge game and all. Let me double check. Yeah, because he had 7 points in Game 4, and then he had 23 points in Game 3. So I'm going to assume that was the game he had 7 3-pointers and all. Yeah, he was 8 for, yep, there it is, 7 for 12 for 3-pointers and all. So he was big in Game 3, honestly, with his 3-point shooting and all. So I think the extra rest that he had, they didn't have to play. 35 minutes, my mistake, 35 minutes, not 25. No, he had 25 in Game 2, and I think that's what helped for him in Game 3 and all. Because in Game 4, he played 40 minutes and only dropped 7 points and all. So just having O'Shea play and the way he played, he even had a block in that third quarter too as well, really helped Al Horford and all. But to get back into the game, into the third quarter, Indiana was able to push their lead up to 18 points. But again, with that C's defense, they were able to get to single digits. They were able to get it to 7 points, but I think Nembhard hit a big mid-range shot at the end of the third quarter to push it back to 9 and all. But my confidence level, I was dealing with nerves in that third quarter and all, because seeing an 18-point lead with essentially like 18 minutes left in the basketball game isn't somewhere you want to be. But I told myself, I was in the chat too as well, if they're able to get to single digits, there's good confidence honestly too as well, because you can see besides Al Horford, nobody was hitting a shot in that game, honestly. He was the only guy really essentially hitting his threes, honestly, and it ended up being big later on and all. But White was able to but in the fourth quarter at least and all, after they were able to get to single digits and all, and with their inability to make threes, White and Tatum were finally able to hit some big threes towards the end of that game. I think Derek White went 1 for 8, hit one of those threes. Tatum was able to hit a 3 in the top of the key, and then towards the end, Tatum had a drive, had Neesmith, and I think it was Miles Turner, if not Siakam, had Al Horford's defender pulled in, had a stick behind the back pass dotted straight to Al Horford in the corner and was able to hit a sick big three after that sick pass. Honestly, that helped them cinch a lead. That helped them, I think, tie the game. Honestly, and Drew Holiday's and one helped cinch their lead and all too as well with a foul on Siakam and all. What's it called there? Drew Holiday again showed some big importance even after that and one. With under a minute left, with that and one with this foul on Siakam. After a missed shot by Tatum, I believe, with his left, Tatum had to drive. I don't think he went in strong enough. It went in, but it was just off. It was just off. Tatum was very good with his left too as well, but it ended up being off. I think it was a rebound by Siakam or Turner. Gave it to Nembhard. Nembhard pushed the ball up the court and all. Drew Holiday had a huge steal, reminiscent to the steal from Devin Booker and then the alley-oop to Giannis and all. Just a big steal in the middle of the court. Was able to get it down the court. Pascal Siakam fouled him with about, I think it was like 3 seconds left or something like that. Hit 2 big free throws. Rick Carlisle had himself an interesting game where he essentially had his 4 players, with the inbound player being the 5th. Had his 4 players, or had 4 verticals basically up the court and all, but it did work. Where again created chaos. The big theme for the Celtics, talking about the Indiana Pacers offense, there's some chaos created in that 4 vertical formation, basically from like 3/4 court up to their side of the basket. But it did get Neesmith open in the corner. Drew Holiday was late to close. Had a pretty damn good look, honestly, for a 3-pointer in the corner, but missed it, front rimmed it, went over the rim and all, and that essentially cinched a 3-0 lead for the Celtics and all. So that was Game 3, and for Game 4, and let's just say this real quick, that was a clutch game, ladies and gentlemen. That was a clutch game the Celtics just won that I just described right there. And for Celtics fans, how the ESPN narrative, the Nick Wright narrative, the Colin Cowherd narrative, how all that is. They gave you a clutch game and all. I'm not sure how you're supposed to win clutch games and all. I still think the stat, 5 minutes, and it has to be a 5-point deficit, you're up 5 to be a clutch game. It's a weird way to classify or to characterize a clutch game and all. But there it is, people. Right there's the clutch game that the Celtics just won to go up 3-0 against the Indiana Pacers. And for Game 4, guess what? They gave you another clutch win. And when I said they gave you an okay start, in the start of Game 3 at least, they had to come back into the game and all. This was very much a better game from them, and you still have to give Indiana credit for having leads and for being in this game the whole time, honestly. And they even had a lead in the 4th quarter and all. But let me just break it down since I got a little script for it. It was another clutch win for the Boston Celtics to head back to the NBA Finals. Even though the C's were never able to build a lead in this game, I thought it was a good game. Like I said, I thought it was a good game throughout. Indiana brought the whole game. Even had me questioning if Boston was winning this game, honestly, too, as well, because that's how well they played. And it was a close game, probably within 2-5 points. Both teams able to have a lead here or there and switch up to the other side at least. Indy was able to build a 9-point lead in the 4th quarter and all. But JB and JT started hitting some shots, honestly, in the battle of the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, the Larry Bird Trophy Award, started going on its way, even though Drew Holiday did have some big plays towards the end once again in this game, honestly. But JB had a big pass similar to JT towards the end of Game 3, finding Derek White in the corner, who was also big, had himself a big steal. Made some shots, didn't go 1 for 8 this time at the 3-point line. I believe went for like 3 for 8 or 4 for 8 or something like that. He was big because when JB found him in the corner with a tie game 102, hit a big 3 to give him the lead 105, honestly. And then back to Drew Holiday. The C's were able to stop Indiana from scoring. The C's had the ball back. Jason Tatum took a 3, missed it. Drew Holiday got himself another big play by getting that rebound, honestly. Nobody was able to foul him. Threw it up to either JB or JT or Derek White, and that was the end of the game. Those were the final buzzer and all too as well. And the Celtics basically cinched their way to the NBA Finals for the second time in 3 years and all. JB deservedly won the Larry Bird award, the Eastern Conference MVP. For I guess to his point, the first time he's ever won, honestly. And credit to JT, I think he had a great series too as well. Basically averaged 30, 10, and like 6, if not 7 assists and all too as well. Had a great game in Game 4. Had the big shots and all. But you have to look at Jaylen Brown's Game 1 game tying shot in the fourth quarter, honestly, over Pascal Siakam. His 40-point game in Game 2, where he thoroughly dominated that game from minute 1 to minute 47 until Missoula finally pulled him in the last, minute or two and all. 46, 48, the last 46, 47 minutes of the game at least and all. But had a great 40-point game and all. And then Game 3 was definitely a Jason Tatum game. Had 36, 10 and 9. Had a ridiculous game, and I think that's probably the game he had no turnovers to as well. I don't remember if that was the game and all, but had a tremendous game. But in Game 4, again, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum both matched themselves. But I just think JB had a big block on Nembhard. If it wasn't in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, to slow him down, because he was having himself these past 2 games we're explaining. This is all about Celtics, but Nembhard played his butt off, honestly, too, as well. To JB's one of the post-game's comments, playing like Michael Jordan. They were playing like Michael Jordan over there. I think he's talking about Nembhard, because Nembhard's mid-range was on point. He was able to had his little two-step, Euro step to slow him down and get to the basket. He even has a little hesitation too as well with his dribble and with his layup package to really make some noise in the paint, honestly. Even at his size, what is he, 6'1", 6'2", and he's making all that noise and all. So he had himself a great series and all. But that block, but back to JB in that block, I feel like that was big to slow down Nembhard, because Nembhard really started slowing down, in my opinion, after that point, and that's when JB and JT started picking it up. So that's why I credit JB with the block, and then that big pass. So even though Tatum had that big pass in Game 3, with those other instances that Jaylen Brown's had in this series from Game 1 to Game 2, and to show up in Game 4, and with that pass to Derek White too as well. After that performance in the Eastern Conference Finals in Game 7, where Jason Tatum hurts his ankle and he has those 6 to 7 turnovers, honestly, I just feel like it was a dope microcosm for him to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP, honestly. So shout out to those 2023-2024 Boston Celtics so far. We are not popping champagne yet, ladies and gentlemen. Not yet. We got 4 more wins. Hopefully we can just do it 4 for 4, but we got 7 games, and we have 7 games and 4 chances to at least, 7 games and win 4, and the first to win 4 in those 7 games and all. So the fact that they're in this position, again, to how we started this episode, this recording, to start this podcast, and have this intuition that the C's could really get there, honestly. And the fact that they're here, I get the path thing and all too as well, but the fact they showed dominance through that path is a good sign. If it was a struggle in any of these series going to 6, and the 6th game was a struggle, even if you won and you won in the struggle, I guess to last year, I would be a little bit more apprehensive. But this year, with the path, and they're able to be dominant through it, I just cannot look at this team and have that extra confidence that they can take down anybody who's coming out in the West and all. We'll talk about the Western Conference Finals in a bit and all. But for the outlet to the finals, basically, I guess the typical things you worry about is rest. Does rest hurt you? I feel like if it was the older NBA, I would tend to agree with that, because you can look. I just remember a team like the Lakers. Even the Lakers and then the Warriors too as well, losing their first games after their runs in the Western Conference and all. But Denver had a similar thing too, where they had a long resting period, and obviously the Eastern Conference Finals went to 7 games, and they came out in Game 1. They thoroughly took care of Miami in the first game and all. So I'm not too worried about the resting. I think this team has shown with the time off they've looked fine. Game 1 against the Pacers, I guess is a worry. They did struggle a bit too as well, but they're still able to score 117 points. Honestly, I really credit it to Indiana, honestly, but I feel like they showed up at least and all. Look at Game 1 with the Cleveland, that was the blowout, and then Game 1 with the Miami, that was also a blowout too as well. So 2 out of the 3 games, because after going into the first playoff series, they had time to rest going into the Cleveland series. I believe they had 6 to 7 games of rest and all. And going into the Indiana Pacers series, same thing, if not 8 days of rest and all. So they're going to have a similar thing with a 10 days rest. So I don't know. I'm giving Indiana's offense the credit of making game one more of a game than what it could have been, honestly. I know they're going to get more of the choking thing because of having a lead with 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes left, having a lead with 30 seconds left, and having that turnover with Pascal Siakam and then Jaylen Brown hitting that shot, ironically, over Pascal Siakam too as well. So I know it's going to be more of a choking thing and all too as well. But I feel like the C's did play well enough. Their defense, even though it didn't play great in that first game, I think Indiana's offense is, and I've mentioned their offense efficiency in past recordings. It's a legit thing, honestly. You're not stopping their offense. You just have to have moments of stopping their offense. And again, I think the C's showed that and all. The Indiana Pacers offense is a legit thing. They put up records this year, especially in the first 25 to 35 games in the year, with the pace they were setting at least and all. Just not even the pace with their running, just the pace that they were setting in numbers at least and all. So they were a historic offense to begin the season and all too as well. So when I look at that game, I feel like that's a misnomer or an anomaly compared to their other first games of each series with the long breaks at least and also for the outlook to the finals. I feel like they'll be fine there at least and all too as well. I feel like it'll be huge for a guy like Sam Hauser. So I don't know where his shot went. I do credit the pace that the Indiana Pacers do play. It probably did knock him off rhythm too as well. It's not like has an opportunity to drop or to have 10 3-point attempts in the game and all to figure out his rhythm. It's through 2 to 4, 3 to 5 at least and all. So I get why maybe the pace threw him off, and I feel like the time should help him reset his shot too as well. But obviously the main thing only I feel like to worry about in this outlook is if KP is going to be fully ready to go in game one, honestly, too as well. I think that should be the only concern with the timeout, honestly. That with Porzingis not playing a game since game 4 of the first round, you would hope can you give him give him a game or two to get some rhythm, get some knock some rust out of him, honestly. Because if there's any rust to worry about with the C's, it would be Kristaps Porzingis. I think because of his great skill of shooting, I don't think you're going to see anything there to worry about, in my opinion. I just think it's going to be, obviously, does he have his legs under him? Did he gain strength or lose strength throughout the injury and all too as well? Those would be my kind of concerns with KP and all. But I just don't think the shot making should have anything to worry about. Any type of a shot making, from in the post to in the mid range to the 27-foot threes that he'd be taking, that he's done all season with this team and on this 50+ games and playing with the C's this year. I think it's close to 60 because of the because of the 4 games in the playoffs. It's probably 61 games he's played this year, or maybe 59, 60, something like that. But I think that's probably your only concern. If you're feeling any type of anxiety or apprehensiveness for the C's moving forward, I think it's KP. I do feel confident the C's could beat any of these Western Conference teams without Kristaps Porzingis, but it's very much looking like he's going to be back for the first game of the finals and all. So if there is an outlook for the C's, that's the only thing I'm worried about. I'm really not concerned about anything, honestly, if they're healthy the way they are, honestly. The fact they did not have Kristaps Porzingis in these 14 games where they went 12-2 and all, and they were able to go through the Eastern Conference the way they did without Kristaps Porzingis, which you can argue was the biggest move this season. The second biggest, obviously, is Drew Holiday, and he showed what he is important in the end of games. You didn't even see Kristaps Porzingis, his importance in the first 3 quarters of games and all too as well. And out of 3 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, you blew out the Indiana Pacers. I think out of the wins in Cleveland, you blew out the Cleveland Cavaliers, at least, maybe 3 of them. But I would say 2, honestly, with game 1 and game 5, honestly, and because at the end it wasn't close, at least and all. And with the Miami Heat, I think all your wins were typically blowouts. Maybe Game 3 was the only closer one. But you thoroughly were able to dominate without Kristaps Porzingis. And one of the questions that the Celtics had was, can they win without the 3-point shot? I haven't seen the 3-point shot, as a team at least, show up at all. And they're able to win these games, if not dominantly, because, again, they are number 2 in defense and all too as well. So, again, there's really nothing as a Celtics fan you should be concerned about. about. You should be expecting you should be expecting what we've been expecting for the past couple of years and all, but you just hope for health, the day-in-day process type of stuff. If you're a Celtics fan, you're probably a Patriots fan, or understand the Patriots mantra with Bill Belichick: just do your job, not trust the process. That's a Philly thing, but just do your job, stick with it. Stick with the day-to-day discipline at least, not to at least what Missoula is preaching at least and all. Expect the unexpected in these games at least and all, and you shall get your expected result by the end of this. As Celtics fans, we should be feeling the same as Cody Rhodes fans right now, and we want to finish our story right now. So, but that's my outlook for the season right now. They finished off the Indiana Pacers in 4 games and all. We'll have 10 games of rest and all, and that leads me up to the Western Conference Finals, where the Dallas Mavericks ended up going up 3-0. I felt confident the way for this matchup for Dallas, but I didn't think they'd be up 3-0. I gave them the series in 6, and may turn out being that way, but I didn't expect them to be up 3-0 and all. That's definitely not something I expected. I think the main reason why that I would say that Dallas is up 3, or right now they're up 3-1. I was shocked they're up 3-0. Minnesota was able to win a pretty damn good contest on Tuesday and all. Karl Anthony Towns was finally showed up and gave Minnesota the game, honestly. But I think that's just basically, honestly, I did want to say, like, I kind of want them to make different moves, put Kyle Anderson in a little bit more, maybe bench Rudy Gobert, not play him, just bench him, put in Naz Reid, maybe give Dallas different looks and all. But Towns just stepped up. They won the game, honestly. It could be just that simple, honestly, too, as well. You need your second star to show, because there was a good question that was asked on Inside the NBA post game. If the 2 stars cancel them out, who do you like more? And I would like the Timberwolves more. The way they play with their roster is why, the way they use their roster, the way Coach Smith uses their roster, I'm not the biggest fan of. That's why I gave Dallas the advantage. But another instance I think why they lost Game 4, no Derek Lively, and you lost a sense of dynamic play from the 5 position. Daniel Gafford is good. I think he went 6 for 6 in that game and all. Dwight Powell is good as a backup and all. And Maxey Kleber figured himself out too, where he may be a factor, that maybe towards the end of the series at least and all. But I think losing Derek Lively, the way they lost Derek Lively, was huge to the reason why they lost. Game 4 at least and all too. Game 4 at least and all. I feel like it was huge. Well, Game 3 they won, but I feel like it contributed to the Game 4, or for Dallas at least and all. They won. They were able to hold off. When you look at before Derek Lively got hurt, Dallas was not owning, but at least commanding that basketball game at least and all. When Derek Lively came out, they kind of were losing their consistency offensively at least and all. Shot making stepped up. PJ Washington stepped up in the 4th quarter. Kyrie Irving turned up in the 4th quarter, and then Luka obviously hit some big shots and all too as well. I just think their shot making turned up. The shot making was not there in Game 4 against the Minnesota Timberwolves and all, and I think that's why we have a Game 5 today, while Karl Anthony Towns shot making showed up. I feel like with Derek Lively, it sets up for easier baskets where you can suck in the Minnesota defense. If you're not able to suck in the Minnesota defense the way they can, it may hurt the shot making of the Dallas Mavericks, because the Minnesota Timberwolves may be able to contest and all. So I think Towns making his shots is huge for Minnesota, but if Dallas doesn't get Lively back soon, I think it's going to hurt them the longer this series goes and all. It looks like he's on his way back. He got hit, to explain what happened to Derek Lively, got hit in the back of the head by a knee of Towns, obviously inadvertently. I still don't like it. It shows the clumsy and the fool type of comments for Towns. It shows a little bit, kind of looking like Rudy Gobert bumbling and fumbling himself all over the place and all. I was kind of annoyed because he 2 minutes prior, if not like 5 minutes prior, kneed Derek Lively in the groin, if not literally in the nuts, honestly, pause. But and literally did that and had him down for a few moments before getting hit in the head by Karl-Anthony Towns' knee again. I don't know if it was the same knee, but it ended up being his knee, and I'll get hit back in the head. He ended up not being concussed. There was no type of concussion protocol, because he could have been out a good number of days if it was a concussion protocol situation. But it just ended up being a neck sprain. He was on the bench of Game 4 in Dallas. I would expect him to come back soon, just because of that fact. Honestly, I think if it was something serious of a concussion, you couldn't be in the arena, deal with the noise. You just can't deal with all that. So that's why I think he will come back. Will he give you any type of effectiveness and all? That's going to be a question or two as well. But I think that's going to be a huge factor for Dallas to finish off this series, is having Derek Lively back. I don't know if I feel like Maxi Kleber can give you what Derek Lively can give you, besides obviously the alley-oop dunks. But when it comes to when they double Luka, at least and all, in their space in the middle of the floor to pass to your 5, Kleber can make some decisions, either passing it, making a flip shot, making even a jump shot from there too as well and all. So he can make some things happen at that 5 spot if they play him there, and he's able to come back from that shoulder injury and give you something. So I just feel like it's about Towns and it's about Lively, honestly. I feel like if Lively stay healthy, I think Dallas finished it in the sweep and all. But if Towns does show up from his shot, maybe it's a closer game, at least all towards the end, and maybe Minnesota does pull through and all. But I still like Dallas. I just worry about the Lively injury. But if Towns can show his shot, I do think this could go 7 games, similarly to what the Celtics did to Miami last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. This could be pushed to 7 and all. But I think it's about Towns and Lively right now. I think everything evens itself out right now, because you can't expect Luka and Kyrie to play they were playing in the first 3 games with their incredible shot making. It's hard to think that's going to continue. You know what I mean? Things do balance out in a way, honestly. And I would think I'm picking Minnesota to win tonight in Game 5. I kind of think they win this thoroughly, the way they lost the first 2 games at home, the way they lost 2 games at home against Denver and showed out in Game 6. Losing Game 3 and 4 against Denver and showing out in Game 6 the way they did. I kind of expect the same type of scenario, honestly, in this game. They come out, play strong, blow this team out. If not, just have a big lead. This time, just hold it throughout the lead, at least not 2 as well. The crowd's definitely going to get into it too as well. So I do expect a win from Minnesota in Game 5. If Lively's back, I do expect Lively back in Game 6. But there's something that Dallas has not shown. Why again I'm giving Minnesota a chance in this series to force a 7. Dallas have not been able to blow out Minnesota or even have a significant lead on Minnesota, except for Game 3 at least and all, when they were playing well before Derek Lively got hurt. When you look at that though, Minnesota's been able to hold leads and all, so that's why have leads. They've been unable to hold them, but they've been able to have double-digit leads on Dallas numerous times and all, especially in the first 2 games, and then obviously in this past game in Game 4 and all. Even in the third quarter, you can argue in Game 3, they picked things up and were able to have a 5 to 6 point lead, but had themselves a run for a little bit. They've shown more of that than Dallas. Dallas has been able to be clutch, make some clutch shots, play some clutch D and all, and make the plays essentially at the end of games to win their games at least and all. If Minnesota is able to dominate in this game at least and all, and continue some type of shooting from Towns in Game 6, and if it's close, things could change in an instant like that. So that's why I'm trying to give Minnesota a chance and all. But if Lively comes back, Dallas in 6 still, Minnesota's just putting a little bit more theater to this series, because unfortunately for the NBA and for you haters out there, the Celtics finished the Indiana Pacers in 4 games at least and all. So we'll end the podcast here. I'm at my 30-minute mark at least and all, and that's how I like to keep it and all. This will probably be the last show talking and covering or whatever the conference finals in the NBA and all, because we got one more round to talk about. And yes, the Boston Celtics, the 2023-2024 Boston Celtics are back in the NBA Finals, at least the second time in 3 years. We obviously, as Celtics fans, are hoping for a different result and all, but that would be a different story for a different day when we have our preview for the NBA Finals, and we'll be out here awaiting the winner of the Western Conference Finals, who should be Dallas, because it's 154-0. The teams that are up 3-0. That's the shocking part that I have with Minnesota being down 3-0 and all. But I do think there are ingredients for Minnesota to force a Game 7 and all. Even if Derek Lively comes back. If Derek Lively comes back, you need Towns to be consistent and all. I just think that's the last that's really the last thing and all. Rudy Gobert isn't as bad as people proclaim, at least and all, when he has his moments, at least and all. But if Towns shows up, it's just a back and forth type of series, honestly, and it can't be back and forth at this point and all. So can Minnesota win 2 games in a row and force it to Minnesota in Game 7? If Towns shows up, it's definitely a high possibility and all. Dallas needs Derek Lively to come back and all. That's probably where I'm going to end it with the Western Conference series and all. But again, appreciate you guys all listening. Since I'm seeing some downloads being made, please subscribe to YouTube, subscribe on Apple, Spotify. If you're listening on my website, subscribe on the website too as well. There will be some type of giveaway specials and all too as well. Sometime towards the end of this year and all. Still building out the podcast and all, just in case you're wondering and all. But just again, appreciate you guys listening. We'll talk soon. June 6th. It's a real thing for us Celtics fans. We're back in it. Cannot wait. Have a good one.